of Transport and the ladies and gentlemen of the media. On the 9th of July, we tabled before Parliament our first budget vote and outlined our priorities for the 2019-2020 financial year. We also made a commitment to prioritize the stabilizing of management in the department and in the entities we are responsible for. Khawuleza is the ethos that will characterize our service delivery model. Over the next 100 days, we will demonstrate how we will accelerate service delivery across all our functional areas. In exactly 2 weeks since we made the commitment to stabilize management, we are pleased to announce that we have appointed a seasoned and experienced Director General to lead the department and advance our agenda of accelerated service delivery aimed at improving the lives of our people. The department has been without a full-time Director General since 2016. We are happy to announce that the President acceded to the transfer and appointment of Mr. Alec Muemi as Director General of the Department of Transport with effect from the 1st of August 2019. Mr. Muemi joins the department after serving as Director General for the Department of Sports and Recreation since 2011, a role he has served in diligently and with distinction. He has vast management experience in government with a track record of clean audits in the Department of Sports and Recreation. I have asked the Director General to immediately prioritize issues that impact on the department's employees and the filling of critical vacancies, 21 of which are senior management posts and include 6 Deputy Director General vacancies, the appointment of boards and CEOs in the various entities of the department is an equally urgent task to be undertaken to ensure stability and strengthen governance. The implementation of the commitments we made at the budget vote speech have been packaged into the annual performance plan and 100 days plan, which focus on accelerating interventions aimed at improving the lives of our people, and immediate priorities the urgent implementation of interventions aimed at addressing critical challenges facing Prasa, a decisive intervention to turn around Prasa and improve its operational performance while rebuilding its engineering capacity to drive the modernization program is in place. This intervention is driven through a steering committee and a ministerial war room which will play an oversight and enabling role over the turnaround strategy. The steering committee and ministerial war room will also guide interventions to realize 3 key objectives. The first objective being service recovery to focus on rolling stock, availability and reliability, infrastructure and availability and reliability, and train performance. The second objective is safety management, which entails putting in place effective measures to protect critical infrastructure and passengers on board our trains, alongside achieving full compliance with the Rail Safety Regulator permit conditions and directives. The third objective is accelerated implementation of the modernization program. This entails urgently creating capacity for Prasa to manage capital projects and spend its capital budget to achieve effective sequencing of critical infrastructure that will enable the deployment of the new trains in targeted corridors. Passenger safety is sacrosanct, and we will not tolerate behavior that places the lives of innocent women and children and other commuters at risk. This extends to the conduct of those who operate services and those who may be taking part in protest or labor action. In this regard, the Director General is tasked with developing an all-encompassing national policy on safety and security in public transport. This policy must be produced as a matter of urgency. This exercise must lead to direct insourcing of at least 80% of security personnel by Prasa. These security officers must receive their basic training from the South African Police Service. And I've discussed with Minister Fikile, and we have agreed on this, and soon we will meet to sign a memorandum of understanding to undertake this particular mission. In 2014, Prasa procured locomotives to improve performance of the long-distance passenger rail service, Shosholoza Mail. 13 of these locomotives were delivered to Prasa in 2015. Following the intervention of the board, this matter was exhausted in the courts with a finding of corruption and fronting, leading to the liquidation of the main contractor, Shwifambo. These locomotives now constitute part of Shwifambo assets that will go under the hammer of the auctioneer in September 2019. This marks the end of a painful episode for Prasa, where a significant investment aimed at improving the Shosholoza mail service was corrupted by unscrupulous people whose interest was to line their own pockets. The consequences will be dire for those who were responsible for this criminality that resulted in a loss of billions to the fiscus. Corruption and criminality will not go unpunished. In this regard, I expect the board of Prasa to urgently litigate to recover public funds from those it was paid to. As we continue to engage to change the face of public transport, we'll be operationalizing integrated public transport networks, also known as BRT, across 5 additional cities of Mbombela, eThekwini, Rustenburg, Polokwane, and Mangaung over the next 9 months. This is in addition to the implementation of the revised taxi recapitalization program, which was initiated 14 years ago, having scrapped 72,600 old taxis and identified a further need to continue with the project. Cabinet approved the continuation of the revised taxi recapitalization program. We remain extremely concerned that the people of Cape Town in the N2 bus corridor, which carries over 20,000 people, remain without a proper bus system due to internal disputes. I'm working with the Western Cape MEC to find a lasting solution to this matter as quickly as we can. And I call on all parties involved to put people first before profits. We remain seized with the matter of the funding of the first phase of the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project and the matter of the e-tolls, GFIP. We are confident that we'll meet the end of August deadline to place on the table a viable option on how to resolve the challenges facing us insofar as e-tolls are concerned. I wish to reiterate that we are mindful of the demand to resolve e-tolls, and we are therefore looking at solutions that will balance the need for the country to honor its obligations, to pay the debt that continues to increase each year, and the calls to reduce the burden on road users. One of our key priorities is to aggressively drive transformation in the transport sector and open up opportunities for historically disadvantaged individuals, women, and youth. Aviation and maritime sectors remain the exclusive preserve of the privileged few due to high barriers to entry. We are determined to support and broaden the reach of those who have taken steps and implemented innovative programs to advance transformation in their respective sectors. The National Ports Regulator plays a critical role in unlocking potential in maritime. Our priorities in this regard include the urgent appointment of the board and expediting full implementation of the National Ports Act of 2005, which requires the separation of the National Ports Authority from Transnet and placing it under the regulatory authority of the NPR. We'll engage with the Minister of Public Enterprises to address these matters. We have made a commitment to arresting the carnage on our roads and committed to reimagine our approach to road safety and making sure our people arrive alive when using our roads. The implementation of a 24-hour, 7-day shift structure within the traffic law enforcement fraternity is a key priority that is receiving urgent attention. Our commitment to root out corruption has never been greater, and we have prioritized the implementation of measures to deal harshly with those who conduct themselves in this manner. These measures will not only deal harshly with traffic law enforcement officers who undermine our efforts to enforce safety by soliciting or accepting bribes, but we will also go after those who offer or pay those bribes without mercy. Vehicle testing centers and examiners of vehicles who fraudulently issue roadworthy certificates to vehicles that should not be on the roads are culpable to the deaths caused by these vehicles on our roads and will unleash the full might of the law on them. Similarly, the process of appointing boards where their terms have expired or where there is an interim board is a matter we assist with. We are determined to ensure that corporate governance is strengthened in all our entities. This will be made possible by appointing to our boards men and women who are not only adequately skilled, but also those whose commitment to improving the lives of ordinary South Africans is unflinching. We'll deliberately seek out young, educated and talented people, especially women, to infuse new energy and fresh thinking at board level. We are not going to recycle one and the same people. You must expect that in our boards, we need energy, we need passion, we need knowledge, we need skill to ensure that our boards are well equipped to function and deliver on their mandate as expected. We also announced in Parliament that a number of our entities do not have CEOs, and we have urged the boards to act decisively in ensuring that the recruitment of suitable CEOs is given urgent priority. The restructuring and turnaround of the Road Accident Fund is a key priority. We'll be reintroducing the Road Accident Benefit Scheme Bill to Parliament to expedite this process, among other interventions. Achieving seamless integration in our public transport system is an important long-term goal of our national transport policy. However, the building blocks of such integration must be implemented in the integrated rapid public transport network projects that are being implemented across the country. Equally important, our attention will focus on delivering a transport system that enables economic activity and stimulate growth by giving practical effect to our commitment to lowering the cost of doing business. This starts with eliminating delays and cancellations in our commuter rail network and subsidized bus services so that those who rely on this mode to get to places of economic activity are able to maximize their productivity by being at work on time. As we said, when we delivered our budget, We are building on the foundation of the work done by those that came before us. This includes taking forward the implementation of the 130-kilometer Moloto rail corridor between Siabuswa in Mpumalanga and Tshwane in Gauteng. We will similarly continue with the work to conduct a feasibility study on the high-speed rail between Johannesburg and Durban. Both these projects are part of a suite of projects identified in the National Transport Master Plan 2050 that was approved by Cabinet and will be undertaken as public-private partnerships, with funding mobilized from the private sector through a number of instruments. In implementing our priorities, engagements with all our social partners to commit to a social compact that enjoins us to acceleration of service delivery, interventions that place the people at the center of our agenda cannot be overemphasized. We'll take our stakeholders and our people along in this journey to grow South Africa together. We know the challenges that we've got on a whole lot of issues, and we'll seek to engage with everyone with a view of reaching a consensus on some of the pertinent questions that face us in this particular area. One of the major interventions to maximize efficiencies and to cut costs will involve undertaking an investigation on the possibility of developing a transport campus to accommodate all our entities where feasible. We'll work on this exercise in close collaboration with the National Treasury and the Ministry of Public Works and Infrastructure. Similarly, as we embrace the fourth industrial revolution and define the impact and contribution of transport in new technologies, we have to pay close attention to cybersecurity in a serious manner. We'll therefore prioritize a holistic cyber policy for the sector, and all our entities are required to treat cyber safety seriously. The Director General will be instrumental in providing effective leadership and mobilize the capacity of the department and its entities behind accelerating delivery on these priorities. I have no doubt that Mr. Muemi brings to the department experience, energy, and drive that is necessary to give impetus to a new service delivery model that places the people at the center.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, please note that a hard copy of the statement will be made available to you today, and or a soft copy should you require one. I am taking note that you would like to ask questions already. I'm going to ask Mr. Mumi if he'd like to say one or two remarks. You certainly have your work cut out for you, sir. Perhaps before we take a round or two of questions, you can just give a brief response to the Minister's statement.
Good afternoon, Ayanda, and good afternoon to the Minister and Deputy Minister, as well as our colleagues. The portfolio I'm coming into is quite huge. It's quite broad, quite big, with holistically huge challenges actually facing it. And it's a huge task, and we don't take that task quite lightly. We are certainly aware about the mandate itself and the priorities that the Minister has outlined. Having participated in FOSAT before, which is the Forum of South Africa's Directors General, so these challenges and priorities one has become accustomed to and been aware what is required, and we are keen to engage with the rest of our colleagues within the department. There are plans in place. There's a number of interventions that need to be pursued. One is quite keen to interact with the colleagues at the senior management level and to get to work. We are also aware of the time pressures and the 100-day commitments the Minister have made that needs to be given preference and priority in pursuit. And we believe that we would indeed bring the energy the Minister requires to the portfolio and to seek to inject some new sense of agency in getting the job done. The best way of eating an elephant is piece by piece, and however, in this case it appears one has to eat from several places at the same time, and that would be indeed the type of focus one has to take in bringing the challenges. The important thing is that this sector itself, it's quite critical to the heartbeat of the country, in the sense that not only is it an economic portfolio, but it also has serious social elements where it's about people, their daily struggles and travel to and from work, and their engagement with communities and visitation to families. It's about people dying on our roads and all of that. And importantly, it is also an economic heartbeat. The many trucks, ferrying of people and the free movement of goods and all of that on both our rail network, our road, within the seas in maritime sector, and also air cargo and air transportation. So it's quite wide, but also importantly it has serious elements of security which I believe previously we may not have paid significant attention to them, and that we would need to build within the policy edifice an important element of managing that part of this portfolio. Broad as it is, we are not faced by the unscrupulous elements that have been found to operate in this sector, and I think the determination would have to be there, and the backing up of the minister's commitment to uprooting corruption and to dealing with the characters that shouldn't really be operating within this sector. And I think we need to tighten that, and therefore the review of all the laws that are on the table now will be one of the key exercises that we pursue to ensure where necessary they need to be strengthened, and our policy as well as our operational model, the people, technology, the systems, are what one would need to look at to ensure that we make some degree of impact and headway. I think that's what one can say. I'm only starting on the first, so we look forward to being at the office. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I wish to thank the Minister and Deputy Minister, as well as the President, for the confidence they have.
I was about to say President.
Yes, but they have shown.
Otherwise you'll be on the streets now. Quickly.
Thank you so much. Before we take questions, DM, would you like to add?
Thank you very much. You heartily welcome, Director General. We're looking forward to you adding value and coalescing most of the things that we believe we have been deployed to execute in the Department of Transport. Critical, the legislations, as the Minister has already indicated, we've got several legislations which need to be processed as speedily as possible in Parliament. Your road accident benefit scheme, which will be able to assist road accident fund, as it's one of those liabilities that we are having in the Department of Transport. We believe that once the road accident benefit scheme becomes a law, definitely it will assist in making sure that our people are able to, and the country is able to get value for money with respect to the carnage that are there on the road. The adjudication of administrative road traffic offences is one of the laws that has been passed by Parliament, and believing that the President has already accented to. And we also are of the opinion that once we have these the laws functional, we believe that people will start to change their attitudes towards a road as they are traveling on the road, because the offences that are happening on the road leaves much to be desired. And as indicated, we believe that a stick and a carrot should be used as we deal with the people on the road. Of course, we will do the demerits, but we will also be engaged in making sure that there's a serious educational program which our people will be able to understand, because it is very important one life lost is one life too many. It is very important that we're able to educate our people to respect the laws of the road, but also to change their attitude towards the roads as they are traveling throughout the country. And lastly, I would like to say, Director General, all the policies of the department, like you have already indicated, needs a serious overhaul and a serious review. And we are looking forward to us making an intervention with the interest of the economy of the Republic at heart, and growing this economy and growing South Africa together with all in Sandri who will be in the Department of Transport. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DM. Ladies and gentlemen, we can take the first round of questions. Yes, I'm going to ask that you just identify yourself as well, please. We'll take a few and then we'll ask to answer. Yeah.
Thanks, Abong Komogana from the CBC Radio News. Minister, can you please elaborate on the issue of Prasa securities, the training that you are talking about, what does it entail? Thanks.
Thank you. Next hand. Yes, ma'am.
Minister Chantal Presence from African News Agency. Just on the Metro Rail strike, just how many workers are going to be involved in the strike, and then what contingency measures do you have in place? And then just also on the security, when will these sub-strand security guards be on the trains?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Adda from Hartekam. I just want to find out about the issue of N2 Express in Cape Town. When you engaged with MEC Dikizela, what did he mention to you seems to be the cause of the problem? Thank you.
Okay, I'll take the last two questions for this round. The gentleman right next to you.
The Minister, it's Ethan Van Diemen from News 24. I'd just like to inquire about the status of devolution of the rail function that was at least alluded to by people in the Western Cape. If there have been any discussions with the department about devolution of the rail function in any way, what is the status of that? As the Premier rather engaged with you in that regard. Thank you.
Sinay from Daily Maverick. First question, Minister, you were talking about the Shubhambu corruption that's been happening. You said that you want the Prasa board to instigate litigation against the company involved, but the board is not permanent yet. Are you going to wait until the new board is appointed to do that? And the second question was on the war room that you want to establish. Have you identified suitable candidates, and who will exactly be on that war room?
Thank you very much. So, Minister, large focus on Prasa. Abongile wanted to know about Prasa security, when the training will take place. I think that question was also echoed. Sunay just asked now about the board appointments as well as the war room. And then I think once we're done with the Prasa focus, we can unpack it thereafter and take a look at the other questions.
First, to start with the question of elaborating on guards on trains, we have had a preliminary discussion with the Minister of Police at our level, and that discussion will be formalized. But in principle, we are agreed that we will collaborate and work together on executing, bringing guards on trains. Already there are guards. There are refurbishment, reorientation and training. Our interest is that must find expression within South African Police Service, because you deal with crowd control, but actually you also deal with dangerous criminality that is happening in the trains. Yet we address a whole range of issues. Within our fold, we do have security capacity that need to be beefed up, and within the context of the law. And the only people who are having the law authority to train people and oversee policing is the Minister of Police. So we will work with him through a memorandum of understanding and create a multiplier force in the trains as we promised. And hopefully that happens before end of the year. You do have training, you do have security, which is outsourced, part of it from Prasa. But in our discussions, which when we unveil this plan together with the minister and ourselves, it will entail all the details. But the principle, we are moving ahead with ensuring that our trains will be policed, and our trains will be safe, and our people will feel safe to use our trains. And that's what is important. And we need to deliver on that mandate, because we have gone to the people, we have heard them, we have seen for ourselves. There is no safety. Overcrowding in the trains, people getting into the trains without paying a cent. And in that process, risking their lives in that overcrowding and so on. So there's got to be law, but protecting the citizens to use an affordable, safe train, and that is the mission of this government. So we are going to deliver on that. So the details of it will be able to elaborate when we are rolling out the plan with the minister. But it falls squarely within our fold that this is what we want to do together with our entity Prasa. Metro rail strike, how many people are involved in strike? I cannot give you the total number of people who are actually involved, but you wanted to understand what are the plans. Yes, there are plans in terms of Prasa to give us the details. They've given us the details in relation to what will happen when workers are on strike. And that is actually going to entail, among others, to ensure that there is nobody who's intimidated in this particular instance. And of course, collaborating with the South African Police Service without undermining any other thing. But you need to be aware also that there are no train drivers who are involved in the strike. So that we need to be clear about. UNTU is a majority union, but critical personnel will not be taking part in the strike. That is what is happening. I wanted information about how many people. I'm now giving generalizations. So nonetheless, I don't have the numbers of how many workers are going on strike, but we are ready in terms of the workplace situation through Prasa to address any anomaly that will actually arise out of the strike, should it actually degenerate into something else, violent or whatever. So the law enforcement agencies and all our security component is ready for that. Whilst on the other side, we intensify the resolution of the disputed issues within the context of the bargaining chamber. So all of those have been attended to as a package. The N2 matter, the problem is us? No. We are working with the Western Cape government to ensure that we reach a solution on that. And I can tell you, as of yesterday, even though I was not part of the meeting because I was in the National Assembly for the money bill, the MEC met with our team, with the Acting Director General and the team of Transport to finalize those outstanding issues that are disputed. I hope within the 100 days we'll be able to deliver for Western Cape and also resolve the issues of George. In the same vein, I'm going to be going to George in the next coming week together with the MEC to meet with all the stakeholders, because I want this BRT arrangement to be operational in the city of Cape Town and all the other areas that I've mentioned in the statement. Devolution of rail function, we have not considered that with anyone. We know that the Western Cape government, this is what they want, but they've not put that on the table. So I will not talk about the matter that we have not ventilated in our discussion. And so we have not ventilated, we have seen it, it is their intention, but on that we'll be guided by government policy in terms of discussing that particular issue with regard to rail. devolution of functions to the provinces. Shufambo, Daily Maverick have written extensively on this matter. And of course, there's a lot of corruption that has gone through. A lot of over 2 billion money has disappeared. And what I'm saying is that Prasa must undertake to follow that money through litigation and all other means. And at the same time, the law must take its course. It is a temporary board, but it doesn't debar the board from executing the fight against corruption. The term of office of this board comes to an end 1st of September. But I think we've already advertised for applications for the new board. But it is not just the new board, it's the complete strategy of what interventions we want in Prasa. When we deal with the war room and what and who goes into the war room in the next coming weeks, I will be able to give you the detail of how the war room is going to shape up. And I will want that to happen when the DG is also on board. Because the war room is going to address a whole lot of issues in terms of intervention in Prasa and ensuring that we address all other things that need to be attended to. Security, ensuring that all the technical engineering issues that need to be attended to are addressed, maybe issues of signal and so on, that lead to delay in trains. And what are the challenges? Why do trains delay? Refurbishment of train, rolling out of new stock here in the Western Cape and all other areas. How are we going to actually deal with that? So the war room will be transparent in what it is expected to do, but over and above that, it is expected to implement the turnaround strategy that Minister Nzimande mandated the board to implement. There is a turnaround strategy. It is being implemented not optimally, so it must be. So obviously, we have discussed that matter with the board. I'm also meeting with the board again for the second time tomorrow to operationalize some of these things. At the center of that meeting tomorrow, it is the war room implementation. So that's what we need to do. But overall, we need to discuss with the board of Prasa, management. As you can see, many people in Prasa are threatened. And that affects service delivery, that affects the economy. People are afraid to be part and parcel of committees that because there is whistleblowing and most of the things are not being implemented and there is stagnation in the system. We need to bring assurance, security, but with understanding that we fight corruption. We need to put measures in place and so on. And you will understand that Prasa is an important part of us, and we need to deal with it the same as other entities are being dealt with and assisted, like ESCOM and so on. So our intervention in Prasa is going to be decisive going forward. It cannot be business as usual. And that when we deal with the war room and in our interaction, we'll be able to give you the details, and that is going to happen within the 100 days of us being in office. Shifambo, corrupt elements, as you would have seen, money not being recovered. The law enforcement agencies will have to do their job in this particular instance. It cannot be that things do happen that implicate individuals. Nothing happens. It's business as usual. Monies are not recovered and so on. But this board have already taken decisions which have taken us forward, including liquidation. So what you see now is not that the locomotives are being sold by somebody who's unknown. It's a decision of the courts. And it is a result of the intervention of the interim board, which is encouraging. So to recover money, but to an extent that will recover all those billions, it is a matter that is questionable. But we need that money, and we need the culprits who are involved in this act of corruption to be brought to book. And to that extent, we are committed to ensuring that this does happen.
Thank you so much, Minister. DM, would you like to make some input? No? No? We can take another round of questions if there are any. Let's start this side, yes, ma'am.
Minister Aisha Ismail, ENCA. I just wanted to know from you what your opinion is with regards to e-tolls. There appears to be, or the Gauteng Premier and the Minister of Finance appear to be at odds with regards to e-tolls. And then also the second question, also with regards to e-tolls, is the moving of funds, or the intention to move funds from Prasa to Sandrail. Isn't that perhaps tantamount to putting money into a bottomless bag?
Thank you, Aisha.
Minister from RFM. May President Ramaphosa and Minister Fikile under 2 blue trains. I just want to find out from you, Minister, can you give us maybe a time frame where the people of Western Cape can be able to see those blue trains operating in the province?
Minister, it's Ethan Van Diemen from News 24. Slightly unrelated, but you're certainly aware of claims that were made last week by the former president regarding a meeting between yourself and a very senior businessman. I was just hoping, for the sake of public interest, that you would clarify as to whether the meeting did in fact happen, it occurred, what was the context of the meeting, and can you confirm or deny that the threat of economic collapse was made? Because I think a lot of people would agree that it's quite a serious claim to be made by someone who international finance calls upon when they consider like investment decisions into the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Anybody else? Thank you so much.
The DG want to answer. Thank you very much. First, to start with your point, I think we are not at the Zondo Commission. So I've been there before. And should I be required to give a statement or answer that question before the commission, I'm ready to do that. What I'm not going to do is to undermine the commission and run a parallel commentary. People go to the commission, say all sorts of things. And I've learned that if you are implicated or people raise your name, it's not advisable to speak on Twitter or anywhere else. It is to speak at that platform. So I've never been, my party, the ANC, have directed all of us, should we be required to assist in any other way by the commission, we should be ready to do that. So I've had all of those news, and I was in London at the IMO meeting. So when the former president made those comments at the commission, and all I'm doing is to observe what he said. So in terms of the commission, I've never been a person who's not ready to appear before a commission if I'm required to do so. So I will be if I'm required to do so. So there's no issue. So to talk in parallel will not help that particular process, because people say things for all sorts of reasons and so on. So I rather speak under oath rather than in the streets and be held accountable if needs be. So I've got no challenges to explain anything that involves me at the State Capture Commission. Ever ready 24/7. You want the details of where the meetings took place. Look, that's not an issue neither here nor there, because that requires my approach at the Zondo Commission if I'm required to respond to that. So we'll better deal with it at that point. It might not even be required at the end of the day. Maybe. It depends on those who are in charge. So that is the matter we'll deal with as and when it comes. With regard to e-tolls, there's no logging of heads between Mboweni and Makura. There is a process that was started by the president, led by the Minister of Transport, that involved Gauteng province. and also the Minister of Finance. We are following that process, and that process have looked into the matter of the e-tolls in earnest, and it was interrupted by elections. We have since revived that process by directive of the President, and we are saying in this statement deliberately, we're repeating that we will finalize our engagements by end of August. That involves government in terms of all spheres of government, national and provincial, particularly Gauteng, and then that involves our stakeholders because we advance the notion of a social compact. We'll be talking to everybody about e-tolls and what we are discussing. And then from there we go to cabinet, and then cabinet will then endorse the outcome of this long process of engagement. But I can assure you, we have long started now. So we are busy as we speak, and we're looking at the next leg of engaging with the stakeholders on this matter. But I can assure you equally that it's not an easy matter that you resolve simply by populism, that e-tolls must not be paid. No, there are many things involved in that, and we need to look at all options. If people don't pay or nobody comes to the party, what are the consequences for this government with an ailing economy? How does that going to affect our borrowing capacity and debt position that we have found ourselves in as a result of the e-tolls? And how does the user pay principle apply in the ever-expanding needs and congestion on the roads in terms of our cars? The province that has got the highest number of cars on the roads in terms of congestion, it is Gauteng in the country. And the highest in terms of traffic is the Western Cape. If I were to leave now and go to the airport now and for the flight in the next hour, I'll have to wait till 8 o'clock. As we speak now, the roads in the Western Cape are clogged. And my headache, and the Deputy Minister and the newfound DG from the box, is how do we deal with congestion on the roads? How do we ensure that every car on the road is insured? Because you get into your car, you don't insure it, the state must pay. RAF, liability of over 250 million. Crook lawyers are getting rich out of the scheme of the people. They come to you, they say to you, you got yourself into an accident, come, let's help you. Others advertise on television. Now, these are the challenges that and the headaches that split our hairs. But at the center of it, how do we safeguard the poor? That you who cannot afford, you do not become a person who the state is going to get these resources in order for us to survive for the next couple of years and so on. And that's how we understand these things. So it's not easy because there's been politics out of this and for a long time and so on. We've got many options on the table we are examining now, and we have reduced them to 7. And this process, by end of this process, we should be able to remain with one option. And it's looking at what is before us in reality, and what is suitable, best suitable for all parties involved. At the end of the day, this matter will be closed within the 100 days, which means by end of August, we will come back to you, having undergone this process. We'll come back to society and everybody to give a final report on this particular matter. That is why you don't see any stew from the Minister of Finance or from Gauteng. So we understand that this matter is very important for everybody. Moving of money, from Prasa to Sanral. You talked about that. Okay, what were you saying about?
I asked the question about the intention.
Or
to
is it
move
not a
money from
bottomless
Prasa?
pit
Yes.
of moving money to where? To Prasa?
No, from Prasa to Sanral
Yeah.
to pay for e-tolls.
To pay for e-tolls.
Yes.
There is no money that has been moved for purposes of e-tolls to Prasa, to Sanral. So that question does not arise. There is money that has been moved from Prasa to Sanral, but that money has not been spent. So in my interaction with Sanral is one of the issues that I raised with them. Is there going concern? Are you facing a situation where you are not liquid enough to be able to run your operations? They said no. Yes, we do have money. So I need to look at that money through the eye of the needle and then make a determination about it together with the board. But to be transparent, because we're a government of the people, yes, it's true. You reported about that. There is money that was moved to Prasa, and we need to get a proper briefing as to for what purpose. But in terms of the purpose, it was not for e-tolls. Are we together?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then blue trains, it's not blue trains. Blue train is something sophisticated than.
They are blue in color.
They are blue in color, okay? Prasa trains. No, we're going to come. In 100 days, we're going to roll them out. Those trains, those that are ready for Western Cape. But we need to balance that with all the things that we need to do. Yeah, and some in Gauteng, already in the Mamelodi rail, have been rolled out. So we're producing these trains. We're ready for Western Cape. So we're coming back. So I hope...
Sorry, Minister, the time frame and the number of those trains that we can...
Well, according to my engagement with Prasa, that should happen even in the next 2-3 weeks in terms of rolling out those trains for the Western Cape. It's not the whole stock. It's a few of those that are already ready, and then we should be able to roll them out. So we'll come back to the Western Cape in the next couple of weeks to deliver on what you saw, the blue train. We're going to deliver. Of course, I've answered the meeting with Rupert. And what else?
Can you just get a number on the estimate of those things? Is it like 10, 20, 50?
We will provide.
We should be able to provide you with the number. I can't pull it off but they did brief us. I just need to be sure about the exact number. So the media people can liaise with you and provide you with the figures.
I've got Sune's WhatsApp number. I think I'll be able to WhatsApp to you. Do I have your contact details? I'll get them before close of business today, and we'll share that information with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's safe to say we are covered. Minister, Deputy Minister, DG, welcome. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again for joining us. We will meet you.
The statement here.
There we go. For the hard copy, over the those who prefer the soft copy, please make sure that I have your WhatsApp number. It's easier. If you prefer email, I can also access
We'll just have to wait, I'm sorry.
You need one?
Yeah, I need one.